hopefully the guest we've got on the show today, as we rearrange Live with Lottie and TEDxDunLaoghaire Live for 2020. Hey everybody, lovely to see you live again, and welcome to what is going to be the new look for Live with Lottie for the next couple of months. Thank you for giving me the month off last month, and very excited to be back because there's been a lot happening. Not only, as she reaches over, let me just take this one out there, take the picture out there. Not only have I been shopping, but haven't played with it yet. We've got new lenses. We've got all sorts of new fun things while we were away in August, but also have been doing all sorts of exciting planning with the wonderful TEDxDunLaoghaire team. And what I've decided to do for September and October as the event, #TEDxDL20, is happening on the 23rd of August. But because of, yes, I've been mentoring and volunteering with them since last year. And this year, Janie came to me and said, "Oh, Lottie, are we going to be able to do it?" And I was just like, woohoo, yes, of course we can. Remember, this is my world. The whole point of having MS and not being able to get out networking, and the whole point of our lovely live stream community, is that this is where we come to connect and to speak live and to share stories live and to check that we've got live sound. So before we carry on, I'm just going to go over to one of my other spaces and check that we have sound. I've actually got the other laptop working over here, folks. So let me press the play button, press the volume, turn the volume up. I can see that, hooray. Yes, this is where, hooray, today we not only have sound, but the captions, the automatic captions are working today too. So I better slow down my voice a little so that the captions appear correctly. Not as happened last year with one of our TEDxDunLaoghaire speakers, who was our deaf speaker, hard of hearing speaker, turned into a deaf speaker. And we're suddenly going, it's all very Harry Potter, but the wonderful, inclusive community that Jamie Lazar, the founder of TEDxDunLaoghaire, was so important to include, was our phenomenal deaf, hard of hearing community. And Joanne Chester, Jojo, did a wonderful 2 talks, both for our teens, Young Changemakers group, our TEDx Youth, as they are now this year, and also with the adults as well, did her official TEDx talk. We had signers the whole way through, and that's part of the reason that I've brought on a very special guest today who has been live streaming for a while, and why I've done that with her, because I will love my guest. She is the founder of The Magic of Music Ireland. She has been using live streams to train, coach, mentor young teens, kids in primary schools, adults in the corporate world. The magic of music, why it is so important for us as learners and educators. And now I managed to get her, having video bombed her like mad with interviews last year. We've managed to get her roped in and volunteering this year as a speaker mentor, both for the teens and for the adults. So with no further ado, let me introduce our amazing speaker today. I can hear her giggling in the background. And she is Catherine Dunphy, the queen of the magic of music and TEDx 2019 speaker. Hey, Catherine.
Hi, Lottie. And you're right, I was giggling in the background, but that's what I'm
giggling in the background. That's brilliant. I love it. And I'm just, while you're giggling in the background, I'm panicking, going, what's that just going on the screen? Oh, and yes, we still have got sound because Facebook is doing our captions, our subtitles. So, Catherine, the reason I wanted to get you on today is because, as I've said to you, the cunning plans as a live stream queen that you are too, using it as a tool. I went, who better? I did all the interviews last year. There was so much confidence on camera last year. TEDx have told me off. So I'm like, oh, we've got to get some other volunteers to help do this year. And so I just went, yes, oh great, I see she's volunteering with the teens because you teach young people music and you use it as part of their learning, next gen learning. We're all having to use Zooms and everything else, hopefully not too much Zoom, that's why we're using Be.Live for doing our shows, but you've used different live stream tools and platforms yourself as well. You've had to market. And I just thought, let's rope you in to do some interviews and meet the speakers with me this year. And hopefully that's going to be the plan for the Fridays 1:30 over September, October, up to October the 23rd, until we get to TEDxDL20. So Catherine, let's kick off with your story. How and why and what did you speak about? And is that an award behind you we see on the mantelpiece? Other side, yes, there you go. So why don't we start with, let's hear your TEDx story, what you spoke about, why, and how it helped you as a speaker ever since.
Yeah, so anyway, thanks a million for having me on the show. And it's, oh my God, it's brilliant to be part of the TEDx team this year because the journey last year was, it's very difficult to describe. You try to describe it to people, but it's sort of a journey that you have to go through yourself in order to really appreciate it and understand it. Because I mean, I've been teaching. I've been on stage since I was 4. I've been teaching since, for the last 25 years. I've no problem speaking because I'm a natural chatterbox anyway.
We've got that in common, Catherine.
But to get up and to do a TEDx talk is really different. And I said to you, and I think I said it to Janie last year before we did a radio interview, I said, what are you going to ask me about? And she said, don't worry about it. And I went, no, I won't worry about it. And then today I didn't even ask you what you were going to ask me because I know I can get on and I can have a conversation. And I suppose I love live stream because it's a conversation. It's online, but it's still a conversation. And people need to look at it like a conversation. And I think people are starting to look more on it like that. People initially were so nervous of it. Now everybody's on. But the difference with the TEDx is that you have this very short amount of time to get across something very important, and it's your opportunity to give a message that might just change one person's life somewhere in the world because it's so international. And that sort of puts pressure that you can't just shoot the breeze online. You have to really think about what it is you're going to say, really prioritize your main points as the most important ones, as your message. And so therefore, you peel back all the statistics and the facts about music or whatever it is you're talking about, and you have to get personal, really personal. And nobody tells you that at the beginning, really. But what happens is, Jamie Laser is an amazing coach, and she gently coaches you to the point that you come to the realization that it has to be a personal message from your heart that you're giving about music rather than the statistics about music. I could talk to you about music for the next 2 hours, but this is very, very different. This is reaching deep inside to go, what is it that music really means to me? What transforming effect has it had on my life so that I can give the message across to everybody else about how they can utilize music in their life. And that's the difference in the process. So anybody who's gone to do a TEDx talk, or even, the trials to do a TEDx talk since, I've tried to explain that. And I'm a good explainer, but I think I still did a very bad job. Yeah, you have to be involved in the process. And I also think you have to meet with Janie, because Janie's brilliant. And then she gets a great team of people behind her, like you and the young speakers from the year before and other people who come along. And suddenly it just ricochets off in you. So, I mean, I was terrified. I remember a couple, and I'm not terrified easily. And I stood up in front of my peers who were doing the talk, and I just had to give my opening line, and I stood there and I went, I don't have anything to say. For the first time in my life, I had nothing to say, and I was terrified. And I had people going, just say, you know, something like kind of what I would say if I was on the other side. But this was me standing there almost in tears. But that night, it was funny because it was a shambles for me that day. But it's funny. The emotional effect that had on me meant when I went home that night, I went to bed to go to sleep and suddenly went, oh God, there's my idea, finally, and ran down the stairs, fell down the last few steps, broke my toe in an effort to get, just my little toe, it's fine, I can't do anything about it anyway, in an effort to get a pen and paper to go write down really quick before it disappeared. But that, that was my journey. That's not everybody's journey, but it goes to show you that even an experienced speaker, it's a different process. And therefore, you can be a TEDx speaker without being an experienced speaker. And I suppose that's a really important message as well, because it's a process for everybody. It's not any easier for somebody who speaks all the time. In fact, for some people, I felt it was almost harder that they speak all the time because, it was like, Joe, why can't I do this? Whereas I've seen some of the young people and they're just coming along and they're standing up and they're it's coming out because they haven't learned not to let it out yet. It's really.
I think that's one of the biggest concepts that people find difficult to grasp is that speakers do come to TEDx from all sorts of different levels. And as the 2019 TEDxDL 2019 speaker that you were, Catherine, on your wonderful topic, the magic of music, because that is your business, the magicofmusic.ie. I think that the shift that we saw from when I first came in to see you and we were chatting about the fact, hey, we're going to be doing some live streams, we're going to be doing some interviews, we're going to be doing this. I saw other people go, whereas I saw you, because I knew you from Ladies Go Live when we got you on the Ladies Go Live 2017 summit on one of our panels and with a puppet, and you were just phenomenal. Exactly, thrown in at the last minute on that, and it was funny because as soon as I threw you in at the last minute, video bomb, interviewing you outside our beautiful venue. Actually, let me just see if I can get a picture of our stunning venue. There we go. Let's show this one in the stream. That's our beautiful venue there at the DLR Lexicon Library, the Lexicon venue. Soon as I threw you on camera, you're just like, which is why it's so important to have the likes of you here this year, Catherine. So I was sharing your top 3 tips then for being a TEDx speaker. What would be your top tips today for why we need to maximize the power of live stream? So we are going to pre-record in the venues, hopefully the Lexicon, but we may also be in another venue as well, TBC, where the councillors meet. It's so exciting. But then we'll also have after parties there as well. But what would be the biggest tip for people who may be new to live streaming, who will be watching themselves like this, rather than you being there or me being here, will be there interviewing them afterwards, but doing video in video on screen. So it feels like it's a live stream event and watching themselves. What would be your tip for people to prepare for being live on screen and for preparing to watch themselves on camera?
Yeah, that's actually, I see the way you send me a question that you don't tell me about beforehand. So I have to think about it now, but it's actually a brilliant question. Of course you knew that. But anyway, I suppose the first, and whilst you're asking me, I'm already like going, okay. Because when I start to live stream, I found myself like sort of, sort of like this, and then when I'd look back, I'm like going, oh, Catherine, you're not looking at the camera at all, because you're looking at yourself rather than the other person, and you can see that. But it's very difficult not to look at yourself and to check out how you look. So top tip number 1, and I say this is probably your most important one, is it's like when you get on the stage for the first time. You don't look down at the audience in particular. you look at the spotlight, okay? So, I mean, that's the same way. I've got a little green light here now in front of me where my camera is. And even though I still keep checking out my hair now and again, I am endeavoring to look at the green light because that's where my camera is. And while I look at the green light, I'm not looking at myself. And to look at it as if it's a spotlight on the stage, that's a really good point, because your speakers, or your listeners feel like you're interacting with them anyway, okay? They don't need you, looking down at them in an audience, and it's the same online. They need to know that you're looking straight ahead, you're smiling at that green thing, or whatever it is you're saying to the green light, or whatever light it is in your computer. Or put something, maybe stick something up there where the camera is. Don't cover the camera. But stick something behind it so that you remember to look there. Do you know what I mean? And I think that's the biggest tip, because the most embarrassing thing for yourself is to see yourself on camera. And then to save all that mucking around as well. I mean, we're hoping, well, I know you're hoping as the main coordinator of all the tech, the queen of the tech on the team, to use Be.Live as the main platform into Facebook. So anybody can download Be.Live. So if you're a speaker, this would be my second tip, I think. Because
actually, Catherine, just before we go to the second tip, I just want to clarify something with the first tip that you've got here. Look at the camera, not at you, like the spotlight on a stage.
Yeah.
That's if you are filming something from a live stream perspective, when you are sitting in studio or in your office or wherever you are. But when we will be filming and recording professionally video with our professional video team, we will be recording the speakers live on stage. So for them, they're almost going to be having a double whammy, because they're going to have to be on the red dot on stage, looking up at the spotlight. But then when they're actually being interviewed by you or me or a couple of other people, hopefully, afterwards or during the in-between parties and having chats with us about how it was, that's when, as Catherine was saying, through the camera lens.
So there's the two things. I mean, so therefore when you're, and that would be that, I think the spotlight's going to be even more important then, because there's going to be no audience in particular besides maybe your fellow speakers. So actually
and family, hopefully, depending on the laws in Ireland, if we can have more than 6 people, hopefully it'll be a fellow speaker and your family. Otherwise we'll be transferring people very COVID safely. We've got that all under planning right now. That's what a lot of this last month has been all about, finding the safest way to do this and adhering to Irish government restrictions, because we simply have to.
So the spotlight will be important. I mean, that's the first thing. And then when you're doing your virtual videos, because it's a virtual event, you will end up at some point in time looking at that green light. So and then the other thing in relation to that, then if you're doing live streaming, would be to check yourself out in Be.Live beforehand. So practice looking at what you look like, do a pretend recording. It doesn't cost you anything. Just be messing around with that so you become more comfortable. Do a test recording, listen back to yourself, do that a few times until you sit quite comfortably. And that could be the same for your TEDx thing, is to record yourself as many times as possible. And know the speakers have been doing that. They have been recording themselves virtually an awful lot more than we had to last year, but they have done that. Now, in saying that, here's the tip that I really actually wanted to tell everybody about this year, and it was one of the reasons why I volunteered to come back to talk to people doing talks, is not to learn your talk by heart, is to say your talk 5 different ways virtually before you stand on that red dot. Because if you have a script and then the script goes out of your head out of nervousness, or something goes off in the corner, or something goes wrong, you're going to lose your train of thought. Whereas if it's a conversation, you won't lose your train of thought, because it's a conversation. So it's to view it as not a script. Yeah, there might be 5 things that you really, really want to say. Don't learn it by heart. That's the biggest tip. Do not learn it by heart. There is nothing worse. It doesn't sound natural. Everybody can feel it. It doesn't come from the heart. And I could even tell the difference in my own talk when I look back on the lines that organically came out on the day, and the ones that I practiced a few times beforehand. They were fine. But the ones that really got people going were the ones that just flowed out of me on the red dot when I got comfortable. So yeah, I think that's the biggest tip, actually.
And talking of which, Catherine, there you are on your left-hand side. There you are on stage. And I love the fact, Catherine, that the way you phrased that top tip from you there is that actually you said, yes, it's not about learning it by heart, learning it by rote. But I love the fact that you said, test the different ways that you can share your story via the virtual tools. And seeing as our speakers are going to be appearing in pre-parties, during parties, meet the speaker interviews, all sorts of different tools, let's test the tools and use them, because you can use these tools to go live straight into our secret coaching Facebook group, of which you're a leading mentor there, Catherine. Yeah. So thank you for that. So and here we go. There's Catherine with her wonderful Irish Sign Language person behind. Catherine, I mentioned at the beginning, it's fantastic now to have the ability to have the auto captions via Facebook. I know they cover up some of the tips that we're putting down at the bottom. But how was it for you with the Irish Sign Language interpreter there on the day and the deaf audience?
Oh, it was brilliant. I mean, well, my sister is special needs, and if you have a look at my TED Talk, you will see that my sister never spoken to me in her life. She was brain damaged from the time she was, either when she was born, but we don't know specifically 6 months old, but whatever. Special needs is a really, important thing for me, and inclusiveness of people with special needs is something that's only really come to the fore. It's really come to people's awareness properly in recent years. And so to have the deaf community included in it for me was especially important. And one thing I really wanted, and I went to Joanne Chester, the deaf speaker, beforehand, and I said to her, the deaf audience is going to be there, and I want to make sure that my talk on music is not irrelevant to everybody. And I wanted to just check that, I had it right, because sometimes we have perceptions about what it is to live with a disability, which isn't actually what it is to live with a disability at all. So I wanted to doubly check that when I spoke about music, that it would be relevant to them. And I wanted to check that I had the right idea that music through vibration and through, movement and stuff like that was just as important and as meaningful and emotional and everything else to somebody who cannot hear or partially hears. And Joanne was able to go, absolutely, Catherine. And I had a lot of the deaf community talk to me afterwards, and they loved the talk, which meant that I connected in with them, and I was so pleased about that. It meant an awful lot to me, actually. So yeah.
That's it's lovely, Catherine, hearing you that's one of the thoughts, ideas you had for yourself, and that actually you got the positive feedback back, because I know in certain scenarios there's so many people afraid to ask. There's so much overly PC conversations about how you approach it, and when you don't know, you don't know. So what I learned most from Joanne is simply, and I loved her talk when she said the pet peeve of deaf people is, hello, how are you?
Yeah, exactly.
And that's what she did in her talk. And there's actually all the speakers. There's Catherine in the corner. There's all our speakers from 2019 below. And over there's Catherine with her award that you can see sitting on her windowsill behind her, her very special award. And also, Catherine, you're there with talking about music and why music is relevant to so many different audiences. You're there. Isn't that someone that you've convinced to volunteer to speak this year? Not that they've been announced yet, but sneak preview.
Well, you know what? Like, maybe, being inspired by seeing somebody else get up, and that person actually really encouraged me whenever I was actually taking my video to apply to be a TED speaker. He was the cameraman. So there you go. And I was like, I think I should do this. And he's like, yeah, go on. I'll video you.
It's gorgeous. So Burgie is his nickname. So tell us a little bit. Go on, but because we're probably going to nab him in the next week or so. He doesn't know it yet, but you and I will nab him an interview. So tell us a little bit about why he's decided to follow on in your footsteps almost this year.
Well, look, the thing about Bergie is, I mean, you'll find out the more you get to know him. He's an amazing individual who's been through so many different life experiences that even though I know him for the last 4 years, he still tells me a story every now and again, and I go, sorry, what? Yeah. And you didn't think that was important to tell me, like when we'd be having a heart-to-heart about something about a year ago? That was just my life, and things I did, and that's just the way it was. And it's like, and it's so much more than music, it's like everything. It's so yeah, everybody's in for a treat. And actually purposely, I do not know what he's going to talk about, because we're really good friends, like we're like family at this point. And we were locked down together, and we were like all kinds of things. So we're like,
I bet there was a red dot. I bet there was a little made-at-home red dot on a TEDx talk every weekend round at your house, Catherine. It was amazing. Well, it's lovely to see and to hear that Bergie's going to following in your footsteps, and that you, as a speaker mentor, you joined. Thank you so much for doing it.
I don't know what he's going to say, and I said to him, I'm not going near your talk. I'm not mentioning. We're not talking about your talk, because I'm too close to you. That's it.
We've had a couple of chats of, would he dare to do X on at the beginning of his talk, or as part of his talk? Would he dare to do it? Because we always love brave speakers. And hey, talking of brave speakers, I'm just going to say a few hellos to people. Thank you, everybody who's been watching so far, wherever you're watching from, whether it's been Facebook or YouTube. By the way, if you've been commenting, we appreciate that, because Facebook, we need your comments on YouTube and Facebook. But the fact that I can only show comments like this one from another very brave speaker talking about diversity and inclusion. One of my favorites, another Ladies Go Live virtual summit speaker, Ricky Arundel, saying, is it open for proposals? That it's our TEDxDunLaoghaire. Ricky, apologies, that actually closed. We only open up a week a year because we do get inundated. And you probably, then she says, here you go, Ricky says, sorry, probably meant TEDxDL 2021. It will be next July, Ricky, we open them up for a week, usually in early July. And it's always keep your eyes for all the news on TEDxDunLaoghaire. Keep your eyes, as things are beeping at me saying we're on our time here. But this is where you can find the hashtag. So find us on Twitter at TEDxDunLaoghaire. You can find us on TEDxDunLaoghaire, actually without the E on the end. That's where you find us on Twitter. On Facebook, you can find us at TEDxDunLaoghaire, and all the information that you can see there. And our videos also go out on YouTube. TEDxDunLaoghaire. So as we finish up today, it's been far too quick a chat with you, Catherine, but it's lovely. Thank you for all of your comments, all of your input today. And I love the fact that you say, who will inspire your talk? So, Ricky, you're always inspiring me to share talk. So thank you for jumping in and leaving a comment. But all of the news that you might want to hear, and we are going to be hearing more. Actually, Ricky, what we could do is, as a professional speaker from around the world, having spoken on many, many different platforms, and as a Ladies Go Live, ConfidenceOnCamera, and the fact that you're a live stream expert, what I really want to do with these shows each time, Catherine, this is for you as well, because you will be doing some of these interviews, is for each time we have a Meet the Speaker or we do an interview, is to get at least 3 top tips from that speaker, from their learning, their expertise, from their world. So when you interview Bergie, Catherine, you're going to have to get 3 top tips. It may be on his topic, it may be to do with his business, but that's a chance for all our speakers to promote how expert they are in their world. Because in TEDx, there is no marketing, there is no promotion, but we can help to share your expertise and story behind your why you are doing a TEDx talk. So does that make sense, Catherine?
Yeah, absolutely. Happy days.
And speaking to Archer and to Lauren and to Janie yesterday, we did a quick show while they were at the library at the venue yesterday about how excited they are with the TEDx Youth. and I know you're working with them too.
They're brilliant.
While I'm having, let me just hide one of those messages, and I'll leave the scroll down at the bottom. While we finish off that, why don't you, before I close the show, why don't you give a quick boost, a quick woohoo for why we're going to be maximising live stream for TEDxDL 2020.
Well, the big woo is we're the only ones who've actually managed to keep on line this year. We're the only TEDx in Ireland. Go virtual. So yay! So go tune in. It's going to be brilliant. It's going to be very different. So it'll be very innovative. So even if you've attended a TEDx talk before or a TEDx, event, this is going to be different. So be part of it. Be part of this new thing. And you've all had to use Zoom and technology over the lockdown. You all know how to use it now. So get online and give us comments and look at our speakers. And we're going to have a bit of music in the middle. So there should be a bit of entertainment besides, obviously, the amazing talks. So please do put it in your diary. Come along. It's going to be a full day of fun,
October the 23rd. At the moment, we don't know exactly where we're going to be live or how. It's likely to be through Facebook, through a special page on Facebook. And the theme is By Catherine's Head. Stick your left hand up, Catherine. That's the theme. With the finger. Now closer to you. No, the other side. Closer in. It's above your head. Do that for me.
Oh, God, I can't see.
Yeah, you're touching the theme. Exploring wisdom. Hashtag TEDxDL20. That is our hashtag that we'll be sharing everything out for. So, Catherine, thank you for joining me today. It really has been a pleasure. And remember to everybody, you can get in touch with Catherine via the magicofmusic.ie, and you can find her on Twitter, Catherine with a C, Dunphy with a D, and a H. So that's it, everybody. Thanks for joining us here. Live with Lottie, exploring wisdom for TEDxDunLaoghaire TV. And we'll look forward to seeing you same time, same place next Friday, doing some interviews. Happy weekend all, and thanks for joining us, viewers.